Hey guys, welcome to SwagTips. I'm going to tell you about Aggron today. Is he worth powering up? Is he good? Come on, is he good? Tell me he's good. I got a shiny one. I powered up all the way. And I'll also be telling you how to counter its raid the best way. I mean, by now you should already know, but just so you heard it from me. Starting out, looking at GamePress's page for Aggron, do you see this guy? And he looks fierce. Kind of fierce like Tyranitar. Also like Tyranitar, he's a rock type. Unlike Tyranitar, his attack kind of sucks. 198 attack stat. To give you a bit of a frame of reference, there aren't many Pokemon with that low of an attack stat that are meta viable. And those that are usually operating in some specific niches and aren't just like, generally deployable. So that's not going so hot for Aggron here. Now what niches could Aggron exist in? Well, looking at its move pool, it doesn't have a rock fast move. It does have Stone Edge, so that is a boon, but without the rock fast move, double rock isn't that much of an option for it. But it does have Iron Tail and Heavy Slam, which is good. However, considering Steel type DPS, it's not that useful. I mean, what does Steel hit super effectively? You've got rock types, you've got ice types, and you've got fairy types. Well, rock types, they're weak to ground, they're weak to grass, they're weak to water, they're weak to fighting. And there are tons of Pokemon that are really good that are those types, such as Groudon, Kyogre, Machamp, right? So some really stiff competition there for fighting a rock type Pokemon. And when you consider ice types, you basically have those same types of Pokemon coming in as good counters, and you've got fire types to deal with, which, Entei, Moltres, even Flareon steps up. So there really isn't too much for Aggron to do there. And if you're looking towards the future, considering the Regice and Regirock raids, another thing that's going on with them, in the current Game Master, they are also carrying fighting type attacks. And since Aggron is Steel and Rock, both types are weak to fighting. Like Tyranitar again, Aggron is doubly weak to fighting type attacks, kinda gimping him in those roles. One role that Aggron is pretty great in though is for countering fairy type Pokemon. Scizor, with its double steel type moveset, is going to do it faster, but Aggron's not too far behind Scizor and is a bit more tanky. How useful that is though, not very useful right now. We don't have any fairy type raids. Aggron, as being an optimal attacker, not so hot. However, Steel and Rock does provide some pretty good resistances. Scrolling down a bit further here, you can see its resistances on this chart, and yeah, you can see that it's double resisting normal, flying, poison, and it also has single resistances to bug, rock, fairy, dragon, ice, and psychic. So he does pack in some resistances, right? So he could be a tanky option in some fights. If you're looking at this and you're trying to consider what fight you might be seeing Aggron have a particular advantage in, you might be thinking about Scyther, resistance to bug, double resistance to flying, has access to Stone Edge. Well, looking here at Pokebattler, hitting on the Scyther raid here, scrolling down through the best options by Pokebattler's standard against all of Scyther's movesets averaged, I'm not seeing him. Now you might be thinking, Ryan Swag, come on, this is against all of Scyther's movesets averaged. And that includes the Night Slash moveset. Aggron doesn't resist that. And I mean, to be fair, the bug type movesets, Aggron only has a single resistance to those moves. Aggron will excel in the flying type moveset. But I'm still not seeing him. Paging Aggron, where are you? Yeah, Aggron, kind of bottom of the barrel pick here. Now you might be thinking, Aggron has it so dang rough as an attacker, like is there anything, any part of this convoluted game that Aggron actually does good in? Well, I do got some good news for you. If you've got a powered up Aggron already, or you've got the shiny one and you want to power it up, or you got your hundo and you want to power it up, and you want to know where your Aggron's useful, I will tell you the one raid that I found that Aggron actually has some decent swag in. So I actually graphed out this raid, just so you can visualize the differences. But against the future Rayquaza raid, we're pretty sure this is going to be our next raid boss, Rayquaza, these are where the Pokemon fall. I think you've seen this chart before when I talked about Gardevoir a while back. Well, now Aggron makes the list, right? And it is a particularly high TDO option. So TDO means how much damage it's going to deal before it faints. Now, low DPS and high TDO options, such as Aggron, suggest that it's going to be a slower option that's going to last the fight a lot longer. It's going to tank more hits. It's going to be more potion revive efficient, all things considered. Now, does this make Aggron the best pick for this fight? Not necessarily. If you use any of these ice types, or even potentially Dragonite, depending on the moveset, or Rayquaza itself, you're going to be getting more damage in faster, which might make the fight end sooner, might help you get better damage balls, might just be better overall in general. But having one Aggron in the mix really isn't going to be holding things back. I really wouldn't suggest people use a raid Pokemon that the DPS is so low that it holds back the team. You're really not affecting anyone negatively by using Aggron. So if you really do want to use Aggron, using the Dragon Tail Stone Edge moveset specifically, Aggron is pretty cool in the Rayquaza fight. Now, a big reason for this is because it resists all of Rayquaza's movesets. In the current Game Master, it's projected to have Dragon Tail or Air Slash as its fast moves. For the charge moves, we're looking at Ancient Power, Aerial Ace, and Outrage. All these attacks, Aggron resists. Other moveset scenarios, other Pokemon might be doing a little bit better, or might be closer to Aggron's TDO performance, in these specific scenarios. The easiest one I can think of right now is Gardevoir. If it's got a double Dragon Rayquaza, because Gardevoir has that quad resistance to the Dragon type hits, and also is doing that super effective damage, it's a bit better than Aggron, TDO and DPS wise. But against the grand scheme, against any Rayquaza you might come up against, Aggron's going to have the best survivability. It's going to have the most damage before fainting. It just won't deal that damage quite as fast as the other Pokemon, which might not help you out for your damage balls. But if you want a cool thing for your Aggron to do, this is the place for it to do it. Now, one thing I really do want to emphasize is if you do want to use your Aggron for other fights, right, such as the Regice one or the Regirock one, where it's not getting hit by those fighting type attacks, then by all means do it. Aggron isn't a bad pick there. It's just not as good as better picks, such as Hariyama and Machamp. So it's kind of steep competition for anything that Machamp can wiggle itself in as a good attacker. Aggron's got that problem. But if you don't have a wide breadth of options, or you do have that powered up Aggron, and you don't have that many powered up Machamps or Hariyamas, Aggron's still a good pick. Don't let anybody tell you that you're like holding back the team or anything like that. For a lot of these fights, as long as you have like more than 4 or 5 people, now, you might be thinking, Ryan Swag, alright, so this is hating down on Aggron as an attacker. But what about as a defender, right? You saw that big old defense stat it had there. I think it was like 300 something. It has the 5th highest defense out of all Pokemon in the game. So you might be thinking like, hey, it might be a good defender. Well, remember how I said that it was quad weak to fighting type attacks like Tyranitar is? Yeah, he's still weak to fighting type attacks, quad, yeah. Especially when you consider the best defenders in the game are all weak to fighting, Blissey, Snorlax, Chansey. So if you're trying to do some optimal gym defense, using a flying type, a psychic type, or a fairy type might be a better pick to go alongside those normal type Pokemon other than Aggron. Now, in general though, the gym defense meta doesn't really matter. If you really want to put Aggron in the gym, who's gonna stop you? You know what? Swag tip. If you're gonna put your shiny Aggron in the gym, make sure you do it in the 6th slot so it's on the top, everybody can see it, finger in the air. Now, let's dive into that Aggron raid, right? I already told you that he's quad weak to fighting, so I think you can already guess. So I charted out the best counters to the Aggron raid here, and I also put in some relevant breakpoints for some of them. And I also put in some guidelines to let you know where the cutoff is for doing like a 3-man or doing a 4-man is. Here in this upper right hand corner, you got Machamp, you got Hariyama, and you've got Groudon. Yeah, Aggron Steel is weak to ground type attacks, Rock is weak to ground type attacks. So the King of the Earth, Groudon, definitely swagging here in this fight. And level 37.5 is also an offensive breakpoint for its Mud Shot. So yeah, so these are the best boys for taking down the Aggron raid. Now, cutting it back a bit, these options here still have 3-man tier DPS, but they don't have the 3-man tier TDO. So you might have to use a second squad. You might not quite be doing the 3-man in neutral weather, you might want to have a buddy with you for the 4-man. And then for the the 3-man DPS, but not even 4-man TDO, Breloom and a level 25 Machamp, arguably level 24.5 Hariyama, also very good DPS options. Now, if we're going below the 3-man DPS line here, you got the level 28 Groudon, you got Mewtwo, Donphan, Poliwrath, Kyogre, Rhydon and Golem, not that bad. Swampert, it's passable for the 4-man, so as long as you've got 4 or more people, all these Pokemon are going to be excellent for this fight. Pretty easy to take down. In fact, a 2-man has already happened. Link below to the video of the 2-man. Of course, you know, Machamp's cloudy weather, right moveset, all that stuff going on for it. But 2-man, it's possible. I'm not saying you should try to do it, but it can be done. Ideal circumstances with the Machamp, so Aggron, kind of a pushover. Now, if you are curious, there is shiny Aggrons out there. Not necessarily the Aggrons, though. Yeah, Aggron can be caught shiny, but Larion and Aggron cannot be caught shiny. You can evolve them from a shiny Aggron, but you cannot catch them as shinies, which means if you do the Aggron raid, you won't get a shiny from it. You have to wild catch its first stage Pokemon in order to get the shiny and evolve to the shiny. And this condition is present on all Pokemon, except technically Pikachu, but you can't catch Pichu in the wild, you can only hatch Pichu. So yeah, if you click here on the shiny tab in the Pokemon list, it'll let you know about the shiny Pokemon and how you can get them. So yeah, so shiny Magikarp, you can get it from raids, you can catch it in the wild. Same with Sableye here, raids, wild. These two are raid exclusive Pokemon, so you can only get their shinies from raids too. Pikachu, you can evolve it from a Pichu that's shiny, but you can also catch it in the wild. Eggs and wild, eggs and wild, eggs and wild, eggs and wild. But Raichu, evolution only. And Gyarados, evolution only. Oh, look at these evolution only Pokemon. Oh man. Oh yeah, and there's Pichu. You can get it from an egg. You're not going to get a shiny Aggron from a raid. You can only evolve it from this little guy here with the red eyes. Oh. Kind of decelerates the hype for doing the raids, doesn't it? Like, yeah, got that Dex Sentry. Done with it forever. So yeah, for a light recap, Aggron as an attacker kind of sucks as far as being a defender goes. And then for the Aggron raid, yeah, just how Fight Club can kick him right out of the gym, Fight Club can kick him right out of the raid scene. Just to reiterate, you cannot get a shiny Aggron from a raid. I mean, you can try, and you can be like, I don't believe you, Ryan Swag, you're lying to me. I don't know, Aggron. It's a really cool looking Pokemon, really cool shiny in my opinion. I like the green color, but not the best thing. Just another cool trophy for the trophy box. I mean, hey, it's Pokemon. Pokemon's not all about the battling, it's about the catching. So yeah, so that's my analysis on Aggron. If you like this content, you know, give me that like and comment saying, man, Ryan Swag, you're such a cool guy, I love you. And if you haven't already, subscribe. SwagTips. Little fun fact, Pokemon battling, like trainer-trainer battling, that was thrown in at the last minute in the original console games. Yeah, they originally weren't going to have that functionality. They were going to have the trading, but they didn't have battles implemented, and they kind of threw it in at the end. That's why Pokemon seems so unbalanced.